Hi everyone, welcome to the Backstage Q&A. It's game week 32. Thanks for everyone who watched us on FPL BlackBox. This is your chance to support the stream, and you can ask us questions as well. If you send us a super chat, then we will definitely answer it. We normally spend about half an hour doing these just to answer some questions that you might have. Good show again, Mark.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. And talking of super chats, did you see that Match of the Day was introduced by that? But I think it was the voiceover introduction saying, and now with no doubt with some super chat, it's Match of the Day. Obviously getting out the Super League thing as well. But I was like, oh, super chat. Oh, they know what that is.
Oh yeah, I should have done that tonight. That'd been a good little pun.
Yeah.
I feel so weird saying super chat. I've got to be honest. It doesn't feel normal to me.
You got to get with it with the RGB, with the PewDiePie stuff. You're getting into this streaming thing. You've got to get all the lingo. You do.
I should get a blue or red. I should get some for these things. That'd be good.
Well, it's coming. It's coming. So yeah, anything you donate via super chat, we're going to spend on RGB lighting. Nothing trivial.
RGB lighting.
We've had. Go on.
I was just going to say, we've had one already, but
go on. Dive into that.
Says about Jota. So I think Jota is the real talking point, right? This week. I mean, these kind of out of the blue injuries like that, they just ruin all your.
Just came up today, didn't
plans, can't they? Yeah. The rumours are now he's out for a few weeks.
So as more details come out tonight, then, because the Liverpool Echo said he wasn't training.
Well, rumours coming out.
He's quite injury prone, isn't he? This is the thing. He was like that for Wolves.
Has he been in the? Was he?
Yeah.
I can't remember what he was like.
I think he's had a long-term injury before, and I think he was not a player who factored in our fancy reckoning because of injuries in the past. I think, if I remember rightly, he was always a player I admired when he was at Wolves, particularly when him and Jimenez were really clicking. But it was always Jimenez, wasn't it? It was always go with him, and I think Jota was a forward when he first came in. It's a shame if he is injured because I got him back only recently with the idea that he'd be nailed in for the run-in. But yeah, it could change my plans if that is confirmed. Yeah, so it is a blow.
I'm just trying to sort my hair. My hair is getting long, really.
It's Backstage
long.
now. Yo, look at the state of my hair. Curtains is not. It's like the.
I know. I was going to say you've gone for the Brendan Fraser look.
It's like the Sunday night at the Palladium curtains. They're massive, absolutely massive.
We've got no excuse now as well. We can easily go down.
My haircut is booked next week, so on next week's show there'll be RGB lighting and a haircut. So
you've got to book them in of you. You can't just stroll down.
With my hairdresser, you have to book in advance. He's so exclusive.
Getting the perm, getting the colouring.
Oh, absolutely. I always book in with me and my son, so we have a haircut together. He sits in the child's kind of a chair converted into a car, and because I can't get that chair, I just have a normal chair. But he sits next to me, and we have our haircut together, and I have a father and son bonding thing. It's quite nice. Yeah.
Can you get the car chair? Or
he won't. He always gets there first. He always gets in first. Annoying. Yeah. Super chats. There's a couple. Go for it.
So Adrian S, thank you very much. He says thanks for the content. He says he did a test and tried to assemble your squad with Salah. It was 3 million short. Does that show that early transfers are a must? I mean, you've always been one for early transfers. You haven't joined the points not price.
No, I don't buy into that flip team value thing. This is the Apprentice, why it's going to be interesting, right? Because if we get one each, we are going to bring our apprentices through perhaps in our own image a little bit. So I will be early on talking to them about price changes, right? You might decide with your apprentice you're not going to bother them, because when you introduce someone who's new to FPL to price changes, it is kind of a bit of a kind of a puzzle to get your head around, isn't it? Because you're going, oh yeah, you've got to go to this unofficial site, and you've got to study it, and it changes at 1:30 a.m. So someone new to that
happen, but it might not.
I mean, imagine us explaining that to the apprentices. It's going to be bizarre, isn't it? But I think to do right by whoever is going to be my apprentice, I would have to teach them about, and let them make their own mind up, but go, this is something that you should consider, because I really do favour protecting and gaining team value in the first 18 game weeks. After that, yeah, fine. It doesn't play a big factor. It hasn't played a big factor in my like. I think I had enough in the bank with 0.2 to make sure I could afford Salah, and I think Salah's gone up overnight. I didn't even know, and so when I went to make that transfer, I've only just got the exact amount. And so I don't really care now, but in the first 5 or 6, I really care when the bandwagons are taking off. So I'm very much in the opposite camp to the flip team value. What about yourself?
It's things like Calvert-Lewin. I mean, I'd say now, maybe you're not feeling. Say someone scored and you weren't really feeling them, you could maybe afford to wait a few weeks. But in those early days, when you've got someone like Calvert-Lewin who gets like a brace in the first game and then a goal in the next game, he's going to go up 0.3 that week. So I think suddenly the decision isn't just should I get this player in because he might carry on points. It's almost like, well, I can't allow myself to get priced out of this. And I think we both did that with Calvert-Lewin earlier in the season, didn't we? We were like, we just had to move on him because he was just getting out of our reach.
Well, Andy had him early, didn't he? I think Andy I think he must have been on Son and Kane and on Calvert-Lewin.
Started with him.
Yeah.
Started with him. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think what happens is, it depends what. Again, this is what's going to be interesting with the apprentice, right? I think my mindset is if I miss out a player and I don't get on early and they rocket in value, there's a reluctance then to go, I need this player, because you know that everyone around you or everyone that you aspire to beat has already got him and got him cheaper. So you've then got to go, well, I've missed all his points, and not only that, I'm buying him for much more than you paid for him. And that feels like really difficult to take. I'm not strong enough mentally to do that. So what I end up doing is going, no, I'm not going to get him. Well, there are managers like Joe was very good at this. Joe was like, well, I don't need to get him. I'll get him when I can. And if I have to pay 0.4, I don't really mind. I hate that. I absolutely despise it. And so much so that I'll try and find an alternative, even though I know it's the wrong thing. And that's why I don't put myself in that situation, and I always go in early just because I know I won't do it otherwise. Yeah,
and also you've got to remember as well, the start of the season, that's when your players are in the brackets. So, like, I mean, I think we both started with Vinagre, didn't we? And it's like, as soon as he goes down to 3.9, you're or 4.4. Sorry, I think it was 4.5. It goes down to 4.4. Then it's a whole bracket of players that you suddenly now can't move him to. So actually, that 4-point hit can actually get you a player who's going to play, and it be a bit more worth it. So, yeah.
Well, look at this next season.
We both. Yeah, I think we both share it. I agree with you. I would happily move for a player, if I need to earlier in the week. But I'm maybe a little bit less obsessed in the nicest way. Oh, orange.
Yeah, I thought Backstage will go with the red lights. Turn on the red light. Nice. Yeah, anyway. Nice. There you go. Go ahead. What's next?
So Sam O'Brien, thank you, Sam, says, top-notch show. Loving your content. And his rank has risen dramatically since watching. Well, that is the number one endorsement.
That is good.
I'm glad that people are actually getting some use out of what we say, and it's helping. He asked if we would take hits to get 11 players this week.
Yeah, that's a tricky one, isn't it? I think if the Krellin scenario was confirmed, which I don't think it will be before deadline, then I would say yes, because then you've got something to. Those 4-point hits could be reduced because you're getting in. Hopefully, you'll go for double game week players. So you can go, well, okay, I'll spend the hit now, but I know I'm going to get 2 matches out of them in 35. If we knew that, then it would give us much more freedom. I think if you can get a player in that you think you're going to want to the end of the season, someone like Greenwood who's going to make a difference for you, then I would take a hit, yeah. So it really depends on the players you're getting in and getting rid of. Like, I've got Alonso and I look at, well, he's got to go. The only thing that's making me think I can hold him for this game week is he probably will play against Fulham at home. And if Fulham are down, or even if they're not down, they struggle to score goals, don't they? So that's the only reason why I'm kind of convinced that I will hold him. Otherwise, I'd be tempted to take a hit this week and get him out for Castagna, who's done very well tonight. I think we need more information, Sam, on who you'd be considering to bring in and who you would get out.
Yeah, I mean, my thoughts are, if you've got City players, I think this is a good time to jump off them. I know they've got Palace in 34, but like I've said, I don't feel completely confident with them at all. I think maybe Diaz I'd keep. I think any other City player, I think I'd actually get rid of. at this stage. So if you've got Stones, obviously it's an easy sell.
Yeah.
Cancelo just isn't playing enough. I think Gundogan's going to miss out. We don't know the situation with De Bruyne. I think it's just too much of a gamble. So if you've got City players, I think you get rid. I think Spurs is interesting because you've got Son, who I think is going to be a solid option now between now and the end of the season. Kane, we need to hear some more about, but obviously if he's out for a while, then it's I think it's a pretty much a no-brainer move to do him to Vardy, even for a hit, because he's got the Palace game coming up. And then Jota as well. I mean, if you haven't got an 11 and you've got Jota and Jota's out for a few weeks, then a 4-point hit for him. I mean, there's, like we talked about for Greenwood or someone, I think he could easily repay that back straight away. So for those types of players who are injured or massive rotation types like Alonso and the City players, I think -4 is fine. I'd do it.
Yeah, it's about not having the bench as well. Like for example, I had Dallas third sub. And had I not been obsessed with having a stronger 11, he would have come on for me. So sometimes it actually makes sense not to take hits and let your subs do what they're there for, which is to come on and get you points. But if you don't have subs as well and you're struggling for an 11, of course you're going to get 2 points back because you're getting a player in who's going to play. And so the 4 points is only really 2 that you've lost, unless they're a defender who gets booked or concedes 2 goals. So, yeah, in that case, it is worth it as well. And yeah, we don't know about the Kane, Rafinha and Jota injury situations. If those players are out for a period of weeks and that's confirmed in Friday's press conferences, suddenly, yeah, you can make those transfers and know that you're probably improving your team over a longer period than just the 1 week. So, yeah. Good stuff.
Yep. Nihal Kokani says, can you lose Son now that Bale will feature more? And I think that ties into what strategy you want to do between now and the end of the season, because Son to me is a really strong pick. If Kane's injured, he's playing up front and on penalties, then I don't even think I'd advise it on the best of circumstances. But if you are looking to push, then this is the kind of move that could, and this is what Luke and I talked about, not necessarily the best move on paper, because I would expect Son to outscore Bale between now and the end of the season. But it's a move that could potentially have quite a big upside if Bale does go on that run and outscores him. So it's hard for me to advocate it because I think Son is a better option. But if you're chasing a mini league or if you're looking to get into the top 100k and you want to do something a bit different and you accept that there's some potential, drop that could come with it and risk, then I don't mind it, because I think Bale will play now Mason's in charge. Mourinho didn't like him.
Do you think Bale plays? Do you think Bale plays when Kane is fit as well? Then, yeah. Do you?
I think Ryan Mason is just going to keep, for as long as he's in charge, he's just going to keep it simple. It's going to be Reguilon's going to play and not be rotated like Mourinho used to do. He's going to do the strongest front three: Son, Kane, and Bale up front. I mean,
I'm not convinced yet. I think I want to see what Mason does when Kane's back, because Moura for me is worthy of a start. And then you've got Son, Kane and Moura. Does he play Bale as well? I don't know. So that's for me. I want to see for sure. I don't think we can definitely say. I mean, I know that Mason is currying favour by playing Bale, right? The fans are going to go, that's a positive, right? And I see it, because I think romantically we all want to see Bale play. We hark back to seeing the best of him, and he's an absolute quality player. And what he can do things that Moura can't, no doubt about it. But I think Moura's been really impressive over the last 7 or 8 weeks, and his work rate is not something that's easily lost on that team when you've got attacking fullback. So I'm not so certain Bale starts when Kane is back. I think there'll be rotation. So I would personally wait to see. But it all depends on if Kane's out if Kane doesn't play the cup final, surely they're going to have to reveal the severity of the injury, I would have thought. They can't keep it under wraps. They've got to say, well, we haven't played him because he's out for a month. I hope that's what I hope, that they I don't hope he's out for a month. I hope that they're candid with
they let us
the
know.
details, because then we can figure out, because that money tied up in Kane could do so much for our teams. But if we're not certain, then we're probably going to hold him, because he's such a massive player, isn't he? And they've got good fixtures. So yeah, I want transparency from Spurs on that. We'll see.
Yep. FPL Junkie says, is Trent worth taking a -4 for the Newcastle game? And if yes, who's the best defender for 4.6? Planning on Diaz and Phillips to Trent and a 4.6 million defender.
I'll have to look up.
-4 for Trent. What do you reckon?
With the fixtures they've got for the rest of the season, I think you'll get that 4-point hit back. I think there's merit in that. I think that he's a player that, over the last 3 weeks, he's done brilliantly, right? He's more than, justified his inclusion in our teams. And the fixtures remain strong, and he has got a platform to go on returning. I think they've got United, and that's about the only tough game they've got, isn't it? So let's bring up the ticker, in fact.
Yeah, I'm just looking now. There's not a huge amount of inspiration. I think like if you want one for this week, I think Veltman probably is your best bet with the game against Sheffield United, and he could be back at right wing back as well in that game. I'm also, I'll tell you, I'm very happy with Rob Holding at 4.2. I think he's solid. If you haven't got him already, they've got Newcastle, West Brom, Palace, and Brighton. He's 4.2 million. He's looked good, particularly in that Sheffield United game. And yeah, I'm glad I went for him over. I was going to get Masuaku, but I just couldn't 0.1 off. So I went for Holding, and that's actually quite good.
Yeah, I think you're right. I'm just looking at Rate My Team, and that's a tool I always use in the members area scout to kind of look at who the projections say at that price will do best in 33. And for that money, you're missing out on the likes of Cody, who will do well. If you're looking at a maximum 4.6, you can't get Rudiger, of course, who would be an obvious route to go down. Maybe not for this week, but over the run-in, I think he'll still do well. So, yeah, it's Veltman who comes out top under that bracket at 4.4.
Soufal's solid as well, I think, 4.6.
Yeah, fixtures aren't great.
With the assist, isn't he?
Yeah, he has. He's attacking was impressive. And they've got enough games there. I mean, Burnley, Everton, Brighton, West Brom and Southampton after Chelsea. So Soufal does show up as well at 4.6. So, yeah, he would probably be my choice, actually. I just find Veltman, I don't know, he's never he's played that wing-back role when he's always promised attacking returns. Ironically, he's only got one attacking return when he went to left centre-back. So
Centre-back, I know.
I just don't think Brighton score enough goals where you can consider a defender with attacking returns other than Dunk, who's got the set plays. So I've got question marks about open play attacking returns from Veltman. I think if you're going to get attacking returns from a Brighton defender, it's at set plays. So I would go Soufal as well. He's a bit more exciting as well. Yeah, Soufal has had some sitters as well. He should have 3 or 4 goals to his name, shouldn't he?
Do you remember that one when he was just completely through on goal?
Yeah, and he had one the other day as well. He had one in the match we were watching the other day, and I think next season,
he's brilliant. I
good player.
really rate him. I think he's a class player.
I think he'll be 5 million next year, unfortunately, though.
They bought well, didn't they, in the summer?
Well, it was
Ben Rama as well. I mean, he hasn't played sort of every game, but he causes problems when he comes on. He's a great player to have off your bench and to start games, and Dawson's been an amazing buy for them, and and Souček as well. Yeah.
Well, I think he was Souček's mate, wasn't he? He must have endorsed him, did a reference for him, and he was right about him. Very good signing. So, yeah, Soufal will be where I would go. But I would consider the hit for Trent. I think that he has got a haul in him, a big haul, like a 20-point haul, possibly before the end of the season. He's going to have a game where he scores or gets a couple of assists on top of a clean sheet and free bonus. He was unlucky the other night not to get that. It's coming, I think, over the next 6, I think he's got at least one big double-figure return coming, I would say. So I think you'll get your 4 points back before the end of the season.
Maybe captain potential then. Haven't we talked about him?
Towards the end of the season, when it's West Brom, Burnley, Palace, I think there's clean sheets there, isn't there? If West Brom are down, Burnley, Palace, nothing to play for. Yeah, absolutely.
Yash Rosada says thoughts and punts on under 6 million mids for the next 4 weeks. Thinking of Traore, and then moving to your mate Rafinha.
The next 4 weeks, is that what he's suggesting, is it?
Yeah, Traore, I guess he's ticking over quite nicely. He's playing up front, isn't he, as well, with because they've got Neto injured as well, and it's Willian Jose and Fabio Silva haven't exactly set the world alight. Up to 6, I mean, you got Trossard there again. Any 6 million mids that stand out to you?
It's just Rafinha. I mean, like if Rafinha's fit, well, I think he is going to be fit for United. He's a player I didn't want to get rid of for the run-in, right? Like Calvert-Lewin, I wanted to hold on to him. It was a choice of holding Bamford or holding Rafinha. I couldn't take 3 leads into the blank. But Rafinha was a player that I've fallen in love with over the last few months. And for the money that, what's he now? He's 5.5 now, is he? Right, so Brighton, Spurs, Burnley, Southampton, West Brom, that run-in is big. And I think that Rafinha's got return. I mean, he should have had a haul by now. He's only got 1 double-figure return, I think, the 13 at Newcastle. So I struggle to look past him. Traore, he can't finish, can he? Saka's injured. Trossard, I don't know. He's got a good fixture this week. He's worth a punt this week, possibly, but I don't know about him over the course of the season. Brighton don't do enough in attack, and once they're safe, I don't know what we'll see from them. Do you think Brighton will go for it once they're safe, or do you reckon they'll just manage out the season and be on the beach? Hard to say, isn't it?
Manage it out.
That's what I think.
Manage it out, I think. Yeah. I mean, you've also got Bowen.
Yeah.
6 million, playing up front for West Ham. You've got Pereira, who we talked quite a lot about last week. Although West Brom tonight, by all accounts, were absolutely terrible. I think maybe Bowen would be the one I'd go for at 6. I mean, 8 goals, 5 assists this season is pretty decent for a 6 million mid and playing that position.
Is that too much with Lingard? Possibly not, because I think West Ham are an attacking team and they've got the fixtures left to do it.
And I think they're having to attack more because Rice is out. Yeah, I think I'd go for that.
I'd always say Rafinha first, but Bowen I endorse as well. Yeah,
I thought you would. Delia's in the chat. Thank you, Delia. She says, hi as a Mark. Thanks for the great content. As always, she's here. She is indeed. And always giving us money. You should have a... I don't want you to always be giving us money, but we do appreciate it. Thank you. As I said,
it's more RGB lighting, so...
more my RGB lights. I'll put a little plaque for Delia underneath it saying, this was put by Delia. Should I sell Son or Kane? Nice, simple question. I mean, Mark's selling Son, but with the idea of getting him back almost straight away because you want him for that Sheffield United game. So I'd say if you can avoid selling him and get a team out, then I would. Kane, it's really difficult to advise on because we just don't know what his injury status is. My instinct is if he's out, or even if he's, I don't know. It is really tough because I don't know without seeing that final and knowing whether he plays or whether he's half crocked or what. It's hard to know. We won't know obviously because the game week all could have started. So I think he's probably a hold.
He's a hold, yeah. I think so
this week.
Yeah,
because it might be that he is fine. He plays in the final, scores a goal, and then you're like, oh crap, I really want him back in. He's got Sheffield United next.
Sheffield, having
to struggle. So I think you hold. And I think if you do sell Son, I would be tempted to have a way of getting him back in as well.
Yeah, and I think it just makes sense to sell one of them for sure. But I think if you're going to want one Spurs player for the run-in, it's a fit Kane over even Son. Because obviously Son benefits from Kane not being there in a way that he'll be on pens and playing up front. And we've seen Son do well in that role when Kane has been out. So I've no fears with going Son without Kane there. I know that Kane has linked brilliantly with him all season, but I still think that Son has got returns in him without Kane. But if I was picking one to have, it would still be Kane all day. And I just don't know. The injury to me didn't look severe, but it's such a weak spot. You just never know with him, do you? That's the thing. So how transparent are Tottenham going to be about his chances of playing on Sunday before the deadline? We're not going to know, are we? I don't think. We're just not.
My prediction is he plays in the final, aggravates it again, and then he's out for the rest of the season and misses the Euros.
Oh, geez, I didn't even consider that. That's awful.
That's my prediction.
That's
my prediction.
Can I just answer John Jiggs' question about Fest? He's saying, is Fantasy Football Fest open to all FPL enthusiasts? Yes. When the tickets go on sale, it's first come, first serve. It's public, right? So obviously, there'll be a small guest list, so there'll be guaranteed people there that we'll talk about who are going to be in attendance and perhaps doing some team clinics. I mean, I'll be there. As I said, it'll be there. So there'll be people that will be on the guest list, but there'll be public tickets and hopefully a lot of them available for the launch party. Well, no, not you. No, I was talking about. Oh, yeah, you'll be on. I'll get a +1 and maybe you'll get it. But yeah, it's open to the public. I mean, this is just the launch party as well, so it will be smaller than we'd like. We'd like to do a bigger event, but it's about launching gradually, and when we do our first proper event, if you like, in the pre-season for the following season, or maybe at Christmas, then we'll have a bigger venue and there'll be more tickets available. But there's a chance if you can get in quick, you'll get a ticket. So hopefully you do. Thanks, John. Next one, Az?
Yeah. Nikhil Suri says Alonso to Castagna Pereira or Jota to Greenwood. Either would be for a hit, or don't take a hit and have 11 if Jota plays and has Rudiger on the bench. So basically, it's take a hit or play Rudiger. I can say with some degree of confidence that Jota is going to be out. Just from what I've seen and what I've read, it all just looks too. I don't think this is all out of nothing. I think there is an injury there. So Alonso to Castagna Pereira or Jota to Greenwood. I think either of those is quite tempting because I think you'll need it because I don't think either of them are going to play. I think Jota to Greenwood I would do for a hit.
Well, you got to think as well.
He'll pay back.
If Ben's scenario rings true, then Castagna and Greenwood both have doubles to come in game week 35. So your hit's going to get repaid because I think Castagna and Greenwood both play both games in that game week if there is a double there. So you're going to get your money back, your points back. The only issue is you've got two players who could possibly then blank in 36. So you've got to be willing to perhaps take hits to repair your team in 36. Or if you've got your free hits, it's a no-brainer, I think. But yeah, if Jota is out, if Jota's out and Rafinha's not fit, I will probably be taking a hit as well. And I will probably have to go one of them to Greenwood, which might mean I sell Fernandes and not sell Son.
Ooh, so exciting, isn't it?
It really hinges. It really hinges on that team news tomorrow and how transparent we get from Klopp and from Bielsa and from Ryan Mason. So, is Ryan Mason doing a conference tomorrow? I guess he is. I don't know.
It seems so weird of Ryan Mason.
I know. It's so bizarre, isn't it?
He's younger than like Bale and a load of other players, Alderweireld and stuff as well, isn't he?
I want him to do well though, because he was a decent player, and what happened was obviously heartbreaking for him, right? So we want to do well.
Razin Guta says midfielders to get in for Gundogan. So I'm guessing you're looking around the 6-7 mark. I think we covered some of them already. I think if you're going up, I think the likes of Maddison and Greenwood are the standouts around that kind of 7 million mark. Going down, then like I said, I think Bowen would be the one that I'd go for.
Yeah, and if Rafinha.
He's only 5.8. God, I thought Gundogan was more than that. Only 5.8 million.
It's crazy, isn't it?
Really was a bargain. Yeah, so I guess you are looking around 6. So yeah, I think Bowen would be.
Do you think it's hasty to get rid of Gundogan? Obviously, he's blanking in 33. So would you hold him if you had a strong bench for the run-in, given that De Bruyne could be out? I'd be tempted.
Very good question. Yeah, very good question. I would be tempted, just because I don't think there's that. I think if you could move him to Greenwood, I think Greenwood is a far better option than him because I don't think he's going to be rotated as much. But when you are looking, do I think Gundogan is that much better an option than like Bowen and Ward-Prowse and Rafinha? Not really. So I think you could make a case for holding him, but I just don't know if I'd want to. It's just stressful, isn't it? I think I'd rather have a player who I know is going to play. Now I'm going to stick with Bowen. I'll go for Bowen over Gundogan.
And I'll stick with Rafinha. I'm hoping that we hear. Bielsa doesn't normally muck about with the team news. He's normally quite definite. So if Rafinha's fit, go back to Rafinha because the run-in's so good, and I just think that he's such a lovely player to watch as well. He's so enjoyable watching him because the returns could come from any source: set plays, goals, shots in the box. He has plenty of those, and obviously his assists and crosses to Bamford. So I still endorse Rafinha. What else have we got? I
like our next comment. Our next comment is great for one of two reasons. Either it actually is Patrick Bamford who listens to Black Box and has donated $1.99.
Certain, isn't it?
Or it's someone who's made an account, called themselves Patrick Bamford, and set up all their details or whatever and pays $1.99. So either way, I'm happy, to be honest. Patrick Bamford asks, we'll be getting him back for game week 36.
I want him back. I definitely do. Yeah. What do you feel about him?
Well, he's got a great end of season run, hasn't he? Burnley, Southampton, West Brom. It doesn't look like, even though they're safe, they are taking the foot off the gas. They've played amazingly well against Liverpool, beat City as well. So I definitely still think Leeds can have an impact in our season despite being safe. and there just isn't many striker spots. So I reckon I will be getting him back.
Plus, and I'll say this just in case it is him, he's just brilliant anyway. What he says about fantasy, what he said about the Super League, like it shouldn't play into our thoughts. But sometimes when you get a soft spot for a player, you almost make excuses to get him in, don't you? And you don't need that with Leeds' form or Leeds' attacking play in their fixtures. I think they've been less of an attacking force. The data shows that. But I think they're at the stage now, the last 3 matches, particularly if there's fans back, right? You've got to think that West Brom game, final day, Elland Road, hopefully with fans there, West Brom down. Oh, you've got to back Bamford and Mafina for returns in that game. You've got to, haven't you? So
it's important not to suddenly forget these players just because, we take them out because of rough games and stuff. We've got to still monitor them, and Leeds are still doing well.
Yeah.
And Bamford's had a couple of little niggles, isn't he? Injury niggles for the last few weeks, but played the 90 against Liverpool again. So by the time those last 3 games roll around, he should be back to full fitness and everything like that. So yeah, I definitely think I'll be getting him back in for that.
And that's the other thing about
Sorry, not him. You, Patrick.
Yeah, Patrick. That's the other thing about you, Patrick, is that you are robust, right? And this is something to take into next season. When you know a player will play through an injury and still score a goal, like at Fulham, he was really struggling. And the goal he scored, hitting it first time, running onto the ball, waddling onto the ball, was probably about the only type of goal he could have scored that night. And he set up Rafina's goal as well. Knowing you've got a player in your team who's going to do everything he can to go out on the pitch, he's always going to be selected because Bielsa loves him. And he's on pens if he takes him off click next season. He's a player that I'm probably going to have in my starting squad next season, regardless of fixtures, because I just think that's what you want. I don't think he'll go up in price that much either. He's a difficult one for them to price next year. I think he'll be around 7.5, 7.5. I mean, yeah, maybe if he's on pens. Yeah, I hope not. I hope he stays low because he's definitely someone I'd want. So Patrick, yes, I very much want you back. But the trouble is, I've got Calvert-Lewin, Iheanacho, and Kane. If Kane's injured, Bamford for me is the replacement. I know it doesn't work like for like. I don't know if I'd want to double up on Vardy with the blank coming in 36 because then I've got too many players missing. So Bamford would be someone I'd be looking at. This is what I mean about as well. Is there a risk that the double game week blinds us to the fact that players like Bamford and Mafina are still worth getting for the run-in, even though they don't have a double? And that's what we've got to be wary of. Because like you say, we mustn't forget what assets they've been.
So we've had quite a few more. I'm going to go down to Nikhil Suri. So no more super chats, please. Otherwise it'll be all night. We're getting loads tonight. So Sam O'Brien. Thanks again, Sam. He's doing Moura. Your mate Moura to Greenwood.
Oh yeah, right.
How many times can I say Moura in 2 seconds? I don't know why I did that. He's got Diaz, Kane, and Son on the bench. So he's thinking of doing Diaz to Castagna. Also have Jota, Alonso, and Mendy.
Is that the hit then? Yeah. Let's go back to his previous question. Was he talking about a hit for that? Top-notch hits to take 11 players. Yeah, he is. Yes, he is. Yeah.
Okay, for his.
Yeah, so he's talking about doing Diaz to Castagna or Veltman for the hit. Diaz to Castagna, I'd do it. Yeah, I'd do it.
Would you?
Yeah, I think so, because we know Leicester have got the double coming up, very likely. Are they certain to have it? No, they're not certain to have it, but I think we think it's going to be in 35. And they've got good fixtures anyway, right? They've got Southampton and Newcastle next.
And I think he's saying he kind of has to do it to get the 11 out.
Yeah, exactly. So you get, not only are you getting 2 points back straight away, you're very likely you're going to get another 2 back when you double game weeks anyway. So I think there's merits to Castagna, yeah. I don't know about Veltman for the reasons I said earlier. I'm not convinced on Veltman's open play attacking potential.
Yeah, Castagna is definitely light years ahead of
Veltman. And the thing is with Diaz as well, Diaz, I don't know how certain he is to start the last 5 with the European situation. I did think that he'd only miss 1 game perhaps on the run-in, but now I think, well, maybe not, because Laporte and Stones are more than capable of coming in and seeing out this season. Once the title is won, why would Diaz play in the last 2 or 3 games? He'd save him if there's a Champions League final on the horizon, wouldn't he? So, yeah, I'd do it. Yep. Okay.
Yep. Agreed. Jigs, you've answered. FPL Fest.
Oh, yes, of course.
MA2 Music. Gents, loved BlackBox this season. Thank you very much. Lucky enough to still have the wild card.
Wow. Right.
Thinking to play in game week 36, having dead ended into double game week 35 players.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I agree with that strategy. It makes absolute sense.
Yeah, so do I.
I mean, we haven't, what we talked about tonight, let's be clear again, it's not confirmed. And Ben's only saying he reckons about 70% confirmed. I think we're going to know after 33, though. So that strategy is very much what I would go with. You know, you get double game week players in for 35, knowing that you can wildcard in 36 to get yourself through the blanks. And then you can get rid of some of the players that you wouldn't want to carry forward into the last three. It makes absolute sense. And I'm very, very envious of having the wildcards.
Yeah, I mean, teams like Chelsea, Arsenal, Leicester, that kind of thing. The Leicester players have rough games. United, Chelsea, and this, and Leicester, obviously, if the bans come in. Yeah, it just, I think, you've left it this late, and I think you're quite lucky that you get this kind of turnaround around that time, because otherwise it could feel like it was a bit wasted. But yeah, I think you should better make the most of that if you're doing 36.
Ross Johnson says Brighton's defence is on fire. Well, are we overlooking that with Veltman? Possibly, but I prefer Dunk myself, also obviously Sanchez. But would you say that Brighton's defence is on fire? I think incredible defensive display at Chelsea. I thought very good indeed. Never looked in danger, I don't think. Certainly second half.
No, and we don't, I don't know. I remember weeks ago I said Dunk was way ahead of Veltman, but that 0.4 is looking more and more handy. So it's not just a case of that. I think, if I was going to pick one no budget on a draft or whatever, I'd pick Dunk.
Yeah.
But I do think I would go for Veltman now and just save the cash.
Okay. Yeah, and the fixtures,
I don't think there's a huge amount in it.
Fixtures are good. Sheffield United, Leeds, Wolves, West Ham. They could keep clean sheets in 3 of those 4. Yeah, feasibly.
They're okay.
Yeah, feasibly they
okay,
could.
I guess.
I mean, I'm happy with Sanchez. I will play Sanchez. If Mendy's not going to get back in, Sanchez will play all the games to the end of the season. Obviously, Man City at home, we're not going to get a clean sheet there. But I mean, Arsenal away in the final day, Brighton are good enough where they could go there and get a clean sheet, 0-0, 1-0. You never know. So yeah, I like Veltman, but I just don't think. I just prefer Dunk because I think he's got a goal or 2 in him before the end, and he's such a threat at set plays now. So yeah.
Where'd you get that Brighton question from? Anyway?
That was just Ross John. It wasn't a super chat. I just saw it and thought I'd ask you about Brighton because I love asking you about Brighton. I think Stephen Gallagher's the next one.
You threw me.
I said I did, didn't I?
I do love talk. I do love talk about Brighton. I think we're safe now as well.
So you didn't say it tonight, but I think you are. Yeah, you're being cautious.
Yeah, I am. I am, but yeah. Thankfully, Fulham really didn't do enough. Stephen Gallagher. Hi guys, how do you feel about Creswell and Diaz for Fofana or Cody and Trent for a -4? So again, Trent in for a -4. Creswell and Diaz out. I like Creswell and Diaz. How long was Creswell out for?
Yeah, I was going to say he's got the injury, and I don't know what we heard. We haven't heard from Moyes yet, have we, in the conferences? So I don't know the extent of his injury. It's an ankle, isn't it? Is it an ankle? It's a hamstring.
If Creswell is out,
okay.
Is it? I think if Creswell's out for a while, then I think Creswell and Diaz to Fofana and Trent will pay a -4. Will pay that back pretty quickly.
Oh yeah. This is it. I think Trent will pay it back on his own. Yeah.
Pay back this week. Yeah, I'd do it.
Yeah, I'd do it as well. I think I'd
do it.
I don't think Creswell's going to return this week. Diaz obviously blanks anyway, so you're going to get points back. And if would I go Fofana or Cody? This depends on the double game week situation. If there was no double game weeks to come, I'd go Cody. But because Fofana could have that double in 35, depends how you're set up for 36. Because if you go the Wolves defender, you've got a player in 36, obviously. But they're playing Tottenham away, so I'd go Fofana and Trent. Yeah, and then try and get yourself out of 36 later. Think about that later. But yeah, that's what I'd do. Definitely. Okay.
A couple of nice contributions. FPL Junkie just says he moved from 28k to 18k this game week. Triple captain Kane on our recommendation. Yeah, unlucky. Really unlucky with the injury because he was absolutely flying, wasn't he? Could have been an absolute monster score. If he'd played that Southampton game, he definitely would have got something in that.
Yeah.
I think as well, because they were just there for the taking.
Mm.
He says the super chat is a contribution for my RGB lighting, so thanks. I'm actually going to get some RGB lighting, I think, so it will actually go towards that.
I've got. I'll show you mine next week, so to speak, and then you can get.
Yeah,
the
do
same.
yeah. Look forward to that. And Andy Mack, as always, thank you so much, mate. Bag of scratchings for us. He asked, this one's for you, Mark. Are you around for the whole weekend of Fest, or is it just the day?
I am just around for the Friday because, listen to this, when we set the date, the 13th, which was always going to be the planned date, that week, my partner, Pip, got a message from her best friend out of the blue saying she was getting bloody married, and she was getting married on the 14th of August. Wow. And I was like, I don't believe it. And I said, look, we can go, but can we go to Fest the night before and then drive on to... So I've got to basically go to Fest and obviously enjoy myself and have a few drinks. And Andy Matt, we've still got that tenner that you gave us last week. But I can't get too plastered because I've got to drive another 2 hours after that the following day and go to a wedding. It's Hertfordshire, so it's about another 2 hours from London. So the trip to London is cutting the journey in half. So that's why I've convinced Pip we've got to do it. Because we'll get a hotel, and my daughter's travel sick, so it actually helps to do part of the journey and then cut it in two. So it's, I've sold it really well. I mean, I did a PowerPoint presentation with a Google map and everything. So it's good, but it means I can't get too free and loose on Friday, so to speak, and I'm not around for the rest of the weekend, which is a real shame because I'd like to.
Plaster you.
No, don't. Yeah, I can see it going to be a disaster. I'm a terrible hangover as well. And I've got to drive because I do the motorway driving. So please don't. It'll be a disaster.
God, you're only in your early 30s.
I know. It's true. I understand it. Yeah. Yeah. Thanks, Andy.
Do you remember Doy? He says that we're both legends. He asked if you remember his viewer questions on the FPL show.
Oh, no, I don't. What were they? Because the thing is, I never watched back those shows. I just did them and never watched them back. And to be honest, I wouldn't say I'm in a trance when I did the show, but the adrenaline is pumping through you so much. I mean, you know from doing it, right? It's live, right? It's
Bale
live.
is not a good option this week. Son will get double digits.
Yeah, it's a bit like that. Yeah, so I kind of was just getting through it, to be honest. And so my memories of what happened on the show are pretty blank, to be honest. It was very intense doing and this is in the old format, not when you sat down. See, that format, I said when I left the show, I was like, why don't you do more kind of informal on couches? So I was feeding them the idea because I knew how hard it was to stand up and do half an hour and do bits to camera, several bits to camera. Whereas now I think it's better because you can have more guests on and it's not so daunting to be on the show because you feel like you're part of a panel and it's a bit more exchanging. It was tough doing the show. The toughest thing probably I've ever done because it's like you're public speaking every week to a big audience and you've got to not look stupid. You've got to know what you're doing and you've got to keep it together. And I don't know how James and Jules do it for a job because unless it comes natural to you, and it didn't to me, it's incredibly hard. And I was exhausted after just doing half an hour. So hosting a 3-hour show like James does and Jules does on
you kind
Saturday
of
difficult.
sort of almost came off the street though, right? Whereas they've probably training, and I know Jules used to do bid up TV and that kind of stuff as well. So she's they kind of their whole experience has been through it, so it's a bit different. Basically, Doy, the short answer is
no. I didn't. But I'm trying to make an excuse for not knowing because, like I say, I look back on those days and don't have much memory at all of what happened. So yeah, apart from one time when I said shit instead of shot. I remember that very vividly. Amazing. Because I was doing a bit solo to camera with a heat map or something. And when I said shit, I just carried on in a very professional way. I didn't go, oh, shit. But I heard the producer go, oops, like that in my ear, which made it even worse. But I carried on despite saying shit and the producer going, whoops, like that. So that was a bad moment. I remember that. And what
are you supposed to do? Are you supposed to draw attention to it? Or
no. I just carried on. And I was talking, so I talked quite quickly, so I got away with it, I think. Probably not. But and the other bit I remember on the show was when we stood there's a countdown to when you're live, and me and Ian Irvin and Jules are standing ready to go live, and we have these cue cards. You have them, don't you, when you're on the show? And Ian had about a stack of about 4 or 5, and it was live in 8, 7, 6, and on about 6, he dropped his cue cards all over the floor, and then he was like massively scrambling around. And he had about 5 seconds to pick them up, and Jules and I were just absolutely wetting ourselves. And it got to 1, and he just collected himself, and we did it. But that was like, oh my god, that was like, would have been awful. But it was funny, and obviously no one was any the wiser about it. But that was a good moment. So I remember that as well.
Things you don't see.
Yeah.
I can't remember. I was on the show recently with, so I can't remember who it was, but they were saying that they got worried because they take cue cards on, but don't write anything on them. They just have them to kind of have something to hold, because obviously when you stand,
it's odd, isn't it?
Your hands all the time.
No.
But sometimes when they pan the camera around, they can't just pan. You've got a blank card in front of you, so they're having to like move with the camera to try and hide.
These are my thoughts for the game week. There you go. That's
just nothing.
This is my contribution to it. Yeah. But good inside the FBL show there. Thanks, Doy, for
there you go,
triggering those small memories I had.
So just 3 more. So Jigs John, thank you very much. Asked about FPL first, and I'm asking another one. Mendy out for Sanchez with 1 free transfer. Has Forster. Need a hit to get Martinez. Worth the hit with the Villa potential double. I mean, I'm going to say no, because I think Mendy's going to be straight back in, and I'm going to stand by that.
So you would hold Mendy? I would hold him, yeah. I mean, given General's poll, which showed that Chelsea... He said, Chelsea fans, what do you think? We don't know who voted, but the vote was in favour of Mendy coming back. I think there's a chance he'll come back. So I'd wait. I'd definitely wait. If it looks like Kepa's
misses the next one, he's a sell, but...
Yeah, then if he misses the next one, we will know about the double game weeks. So that would be the time to look at a keeper. So I would hold for this week and then wait to know for sure on the doubles. I mean, Villa will have one. We know Villa have got a double game week, but we don't know when it's going to be. And that might affect what you do. So let's just hold for one more week. Has he got a sub keeper? He's got Forster sub. I'd gamble. Forster. Yeah, I'd gamble, because... Keeper transfers.
I've got the same, and I'm not going to make a goalkeeper transfer.
Keeper transfers, so very few of them pay off, don't they? You can get lucky with a clean sheet and bonus, but it's so demoralising when you spend your transfer on a keeper and they concede, and it's like, oh, I got 1 point or 2 points. And it's like,
I mean, Brighton should keep a clean sheet, but you never know.
No, I'm happy with Sanchez, but it would be like them to win the game 3-1 or something like that, maybe. Yeah, I don't know.
It would. It really would. Yeah. Razine Gutter, this is hopefully quite an easy one. I've got 10, but Rudiger is 1. He'll play.
Yeah. I think so. I mean, there's a chance he'll be rested, but
this is a really, really big game for Chelsea. West Ham, they can't lose this.
No. And Azpilicueta. I'm getting better. He'll come back in because he's rested.
Chilwell will come back in.
Chilwell will come
back in.
Yeah, Zuma will drop out, I think, and Christensen will drop out. And will Thiago play? Possibly. Is Thiago fit? I think he's fit. I think he just got rested, didn't he?
I think they'll go strongest team in this.
Yeah, which is Thiago, Dave, and Rudiger. I think that's what they go with. Yeah.
I agree. And our last question is from Nikhil Suri. Says, sorry, I forgot to mention he has free hit. I can't remember what the original one was, but basically, just is the free hit better used in double game week 35?
I'm going to look back.
Game week 36.
I'm going to look back and see what he said. He's talking about Alonso to Castagna or Jota to Greenwood. Either would be a hit. So he's taken a hit to get 11 out. Would we still do that if you had your free hit in your pocket? Yes, you would, because you want to keep it, and you'd use it in game week 36 if that turns out to be the blanks.
Yeah.
So I think he's right.
General rule I always find is use your free hit in a blank.
Yeah.
There's less potential to go wrong.
Well, that's the big thing, isn't it? It's like you're free hitting, and when you use a chip, you want it to return immediately, and the free hit can only return immediately because you go back to your normal team. So when you use it, you want to increase your chances that you're going to get a positive outcome from it, and there's nothing better than doing that in a blank or a double game week. And you've got both choices, but I personally would dead end into 35 to some extent, and then use the free hit to get you through the blanks in 36 is what I would do. Yep. That's it.
So just a couple more mentions. Wilhelm says, great pod. Thank you very much. Jigs is there again, says he lives in Stevenage. I might be moving down that way, Jigs. So
well, there you go.
We can go out for a beer.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's do it.
And Ryan didn't leave a message, but gave us SEK 25. I don't know how much that is, but thank you for however much it is. Doesn't even matter. But that's it. Thank you, everyone. We said we'd do half an hour. We've done 50 minutes mark. Not like us to go over.
No, it's strange, isn't it? But... someone's saying there, Thiago got a red. Yes, he did, but he's eligible now. He's seen out that, so he is available. Just to answer that question. I saw it and thought I'd better answer that.
I think.
Yeah. I mean, it's good. I really enjoy doing the QA and afterwards, the Q&A afterwards. It's kind of like you relax a bit and then you can kind of do some things like the FPL show memories and stuff that we don't easily get into the show proper, but it gets drawn out of you with the questions. And
people go, can you talk about fantasy football now, please? You're talking too much about the show.
Well, exactly, yeah. We don't want to just ramble on about nonsense, whereas backstage we're happy to do that, aren't we? That's fine. Yeah, so you now know that I've got a wedding on the Saturday after Fest, that I can't be drunk and stuff like that. Yeah. Cool. All right. That's it then. We'll see you next week, won't we?
See you next week. Yep. Thanks.
Hopefully with more green arrows, but we'll see. I'm not that optimistic, to be honest. Bye-bye then. Bye-bye from me.